So 2025 is the fourth year in the crypto cycle. If you don't know what this means, historically, the fourth year has been the exponential banana zone year where it's never been easier to print 10, 20, 50, 100 X's on your money. People rolling in like CryptoGodJohn with 3 grand, walking out of the fourth year with $2 million. And honestly, so far, 2025 has been pretty rough. It absolutely exploded late 2024, carried into about January, but then we had a massive pullback. However, as of yesterday, a lot of the biggest influencers and the smartest economists think that the shift has finally occurred, and we're about to enter the banana zone. Have a look at this. This is the fear and greed index on CoinGlass, which I'm loving the aesthetic of CoinGlass. I might start using it a little bit more. You can see back in 27th of Feb, you had a fear and greed index of extreme fear. What does that mean? Obviously, there's so much fear in the market that people think the tariffs are going to go crazy, that World War III might break out, that the economy is going to be terrible, that interest rate on all the debt isn't going to be able to get paid and it's going to go up and through the roof. And people aren't buying cryptos and they're definitely not buying altcoins. However, it sort of bounced back and it looks like it bounced back really strong. But to be fair, on these blue lines, this fear and greed index is still down at 30. You can see the scale for the fear and greed here on the left, which is still in fear. Obviously, it's in close to extreme fear, actually. And then we've leveled out over here, still at about 29.30, which, again, it looks solid on the graph, but it's not. Within a day, it bounced to 72. People went from fearful the day before, or 2 days before, to greedy in just one day. And the markets, when people are greedy in the markets, they go crazy. If you have a look at RWA, you can see in the last 7 days, you've got multiple things up 40 to 70%. Even in gaming, which hasn't had its run for a while, you have 3-figure runners, 161%, 178%, 192% in the last 7 days. If you go over to memes, which is an area I personally like to play, a lot of people burnt out from memes from early in the year, but I'm going to talk to you about them in this video. Nero Ethereum is up 250%, Turbo up 140%, lots of runners there. Even the Trump meme coin, since Trump added some utility to the meme of a dinner, apparently. You can see it's had this, it looks huge when you zoom in here because it is huge. It's up 66%, 60% in 1 day, or sorry, 40% 1 day, 66% in 7 days. Massive pump, which sort of infers that he might add utility in the future. So it's not just because of the dinner, but it's like, wow, he's actually paying attention to his meme coin, and that added $6 billion overnight. Even something like TARS, AI play, has been slowly building, and it's up 100% in the last 7 days. And then TauBot, which is a new token. We're going to be talking about TauBot in this video. Very interesting. I got some interesting thoughts on this. This is a Becker token, up 204% in 7 days. And if you think those 200% are great, well, head over to the trenches, where you can see there is life again. Things up thousands of percent or hundreds of percent. And I've had a couple of friends hit a couple of runners. Even I hit a 5 grand profit trade, and then I hit a 2 grand profit trade, which for months, guys, this was silent. And now we're starting to get a little motion. If you don't know what the trenches are, by the way, this is Dex Screen. And these are all the tokens that aren't on centralized exchanges, all the meme and the tiny market cap tokens. You can see the market caps down here in the low millions or the hundreds of thousands. This is the hardest thing to play. This is where there's most volatility and the most people lose their money. However, if you do win, you win way bigger than buying something like Bitcoin. I'll talk to you about that in a second. The trenches are for the degenerates. The centralized exchanges are for the normies. And if you're not playing in these trenches, be careful. You got to make sure you know what you're doing and taking on more risk. If you're better off just taking less risk and buying the big caps, I'm going to give you some in this video. However, if you want to play for literally the 37,000 X's on Peanut the Squirrel, you need to be in the trenches. And if you don't have this little guy behind me, the Archie bot wallet installed, we can literally just buy and sell any token on the Solana blockchain effortlessly before it hits centralized exchanges. We're also rolling out something called smart trading, where you can literally set price targets inside the app. That's coming this week, next week latest. Archie is completely free to download, and you can buy any of these tokens, whether it's a meme coin or an AI coin like TARS on Solana, in literally 2 clicks of a button. So before we get into specific tokens, I think it's really helpful for us to zoom out. And there's a few influencers that I follow that talk about this all the time. This here is the 2021 bull market. And this is the token Solana, which you can see is now at $150. If you zoom in to how well it did in 2021. This made a lot of millionaires, including some big dogs like Chamath and Palahapatia. You can see this built from $1.60 all the way up to $50. So that hit like a 30, 40x for a lot of people here. And then what happened is it had a massive pullback. You can see it went down to $24, so halving, and then all the way back down, I guess that's $26, so it halved. And people are like, oh, that's over, you missed it, you should have sold at the top. The theory is that pullback that we just had over the last 2 to 3 months is the same as this exact pullback here. And we're now about to ascend into the $250 range, which is a 250x or a 200x from its original spot. That is the theory from a lot of top influencers. Even Ilio Trade says breaking the bear market. And of course, as you saw, the fear and greed index is showing that we are heading back bullish. But will this be a week? Will this be a day? Or will this be a year, 5 months of absolute prosperity where we are going to be able to print crazy amounts of money? Well, in my opinion, and what I'm doing personally, is that it's an asymmetric bet. I think it's more than likely that we're going to go up. And if we do go up, I can make 10x, or even I'm thinking closer to 30x the amount of money I put in. And so if there's a higher chance that we're going up, and I'm going to make more money than I would lose if we went down, it's a no-brainer bet for me to make. I should do this on the channel where it's basically worst case scenario, market crashes, I lose 300 grand of a $400,000 investment. But if it hits those 10 to 100 X's, I can turn that 400 grand into $10 million with that big brain play. However, if I don't buy and I just think this market's going down, but one, if you actually are sure this market's going to go down, go ahead and short it and then do the inverse, make $10 million by shorting the market. However, if I don't buy it, I've got 300 grand, which doesn't really change my life. And if the market does 10 to 100 X's, I'm going to feel like a real silly goose. So that's where I personally stand. I think we're definitely going up at some point in the next 12 months. It could be now. This could be the train horn of the train leaving the station, or it could be in 2 weeks, or it could be in 2 months from now. However, if we are going up, there's one insane strategy that I've been using in the crypto market for the last 2 years that has made me over 7 figures. And that is not technical analysis. A lot of people love technical analysis where they draw the Fibonacci sequences and they try and see which way the tokens are going. It's not fundamental analysis. It's not looking at who has the best project, the best infrastructure, but it's narrative trading. And my thesis here on the channel is that every single play in crypto is a narrative trade. It's, are you receiving the news and the alpha before everybody else? Because if you are, say for example, you know that Elon's going to tweet about Doge, well, it doesn't matter how good the fundamentals or what sort of pattern it's forming on the chart. You know that 100 million people are about to hear about Dogecoin and try to rush to get in. You probably just want to buy it. So the whole way that we trade here on this channel is we just follow the biggest influencers, people who can move markets because they have the audiences that will follow, and the best traders, people who have the best track record because people will eventually start following their buys. And we just want to move up the timeline and be able to buy and sell when they buy and sell. And it's worked extremely well. Have a look at some of these examples. Alex Becker bought blockchain bets and it's 6x'd in 7 days. He bought Sidus Heroes at 5x'd in 15 days. He bought Type AI at 2.5x. Back in the old cycle, Alex Becker did a little emoji around Altura and at 4.5x, and then he made a video about it and went on to 10x again from there, giving it like a 50x return. And you can only guess what happened to network at this exact point in time. Alex Becker promoting it. So I want to show you 4 people with insane influence over the market and what plays they're making, specifically what's their #1 play in their portfolio to help you start to see these patterns and cash in for yourself. So we're actually going to start zoomed out. I don't really talk about this influencer, but he's got a massive influence and he's probably going to be the richest man in the world and likely already is the richest crypto influencer, to give him a label that I'm sure he would hate, because he plays at this end of the crypto whip, the Bitcoin end, the least volatile, but the most consistent and basically the music to this whole game. The Bitcoin's going to go up forever because the M2 money supply always goes up. Countries print money, Bitcoin absorbs it like a sponge, and you can see the M2 has skyrocketed, and people were calling this. Peter from House of Crypto has been calling, he's like, you guys just wait till next week. You're not going to be bearish anymore. Next week happened. Of course, Bitcoin has followed the price, and now it's back up here actually at $94,000 today. It's following the M2 money supply, and it has a crazy correlation of like 94% historically. Also, the new SEC chair, Paul Atkins, is pro Bitcoin and crypto, and he says it's his top priority. The next 4 years are going to be wild. Again, this is the music to all the other gains in the altcoins. Miles Deutscher says we're currently witnessing the largest increase in new whales in Bitcoin history. Whales are stacking Bitcoin at a record pace. Have a look at all the new whales coming in over the last couple of months as we've had that pullback. It's absolutely almost gives me FOMO to look at. Now, Michael Saylor does only buy Bitcoin, and for the first time ever, Bitcoin is starting to separate itself and starting to separate its performance from the rest of the American economy, because this was on April 22, $1.5 trillion was wiped out from the US stock market at the same time that $60 billion was added to the crypto market. And 2 weeks earlier to that, it did a very similar thing. And so there's a lot of people thinking that we are in not another cycle, but a whole new era. Sightbringer on Twitter says, what you're seeing right now, ETFs aren't inflows, they're entrenchments. Sovereigns aren't speculating, they're hedging against collapse. Institutions aren't rotating, they're anchoring to something outside the game. Bitcoin is no longer being treated as a bet. And you can see this playing out. Even today, we had Jack Mellors heading a new Bitcoin company, something similar to MicroStrategy called, I think it's called 21 Capital, I think. And their whole existence, similar to MicroStrategy, is to stack as many Bitcoin as possible. They're starting with 42,000 Bitcoin, and they're going to be a public company, literally raising money to buy more Bitcoin. You can imagine, guys, you can see MicroStrategy driving up the price doing this. Now you've got 21 Capital. You're going to have hundreds and hundreds of these companies all doing it at once. And Bitcoin is likely, especially following that M2 money supply, to perform extremely well. So they're your conservative bets if you want to follow a conservative influencer, crypto influencer like Michael Saylor. However, a lot of you guys are here for something different, as I am too. Although I'm sort of like a barbell strategy. I hold some Bitcoin and then I hold some degenerate coins and nothing in the middle. Thank God I don't hold ETH. Alex Becker says, a large amount of my net worth is in Bitcoin, so these climbs are fine. But nothing will compare to the 50% daily green altcoin candles to come. I'm here to get high off red light dirty gains. F these responsible Bitcoin profits, that's boring. He wants red light dirty gains, also known as 30x's, 50x's, and 100x's. And 2 days ago, he tweeted out, it is alt season, because this is moving further down the crypto whip here, where you can get those 8x, 20x, 100x gains when the market sentiment is up. When the market sentiment is down, you lose 90, 95% of all your money. It's a wild game that we play. Now, Alex Becker's play mostly is in the RWA and AI niches. There's actually a new AI thing that Becker's working on, which I'll tell you at the end of this video, that looks very intriguing. So make sure you stay around for that. However, Alex Becker says that AI tokens that are sitting at the 100 mil level are going to be moving to the $2 billion level, giving you a 20x return on your money. The 20 to 100 mil are going to move to $500 to $2 billion level, and the $20 million ones are going to move to $100 million level. And recently he echoed this sentiment. I think this was just yesterday he echoed this sentiment. He says, here's what happened next. The AI wave goes parabolic, and a top AI coin, most likely Tau, or Bitenza, does an insane run to the top 15 coins in the whole of crypto. Every AI coin under it follows with crazy 10 to 20x runs. Mids like Destra, which I'll tell you about in a sec, 10 to 15x, and then low caps will 20 to 30x. We then buy the moon. It is written. Now, Destra is at a $150 million market cap, which will give you about a 15x return on your money if it does hit that $2 billion level. And this is one of Becker's biggest bags, as well as CryptoGodJohn, who I'm also going to talk to you about in this video. However, interestingly enough, Becker has felt the market, because Becker doesn't promote coins when the market sentiment's low, because he knows they don't perform and therefore he doesn't get brand deals. But he felt the 72 market sentiment and said, the best little brother higher multiple trade to Tau is Tau Bot, FYI. And Tau Bot was the one I showed you at the start of this video. This is why we social arbitrage trade, guys. What else are you doing if you're not narrative trading and looking at the influences? Because this 5x'd based on that tweet and that new market sentiment. That is a massive gain for Tau Bot, which is still only at a $30 million market cap. Now, for me, I've had a look at Tau Bot and I think it's a cool project. However, I do know that this is a sponsored post by Becker, and if you are missing out on the initial gain, It's not the highly advisable move to make, but that's why you want to move up the news feed, up the news cycle. We were even talking about Talbot inside our inner circle at about the 12th of April. But there's a lot of other Talbots to come. Alex Becker has taken tokens. We track his wallets and we can see the tokens that move into it, and we can see which tokens he's being sponsored by and therefore owes the shout outs to when the sentiment turns. So there's a lot of other plays that you can make around that $15 to $30 million market cap range that you can just cash in on Becker's audience being late. At the other end of the spectrum to AI is this guy, Murad. And I've shifted drastically recently from being Becker my number one to I actually think Murad will make me more money in the long term. And that's saying something. Alex Becker has made me a lot of money in crypto. And his theory is you need to identify the movement missions and the cults. There's only going to be 5 to 25 coins that build the cult, like the Tesla stock or the GME stock, or even something like Bitcoin itself. And he has a list of 10 of these tokens. And I'm a big believer in about 5 of them. The Solana Post says all of Murad's picks are up double digits in the past 24 hours. As soon as market sentiment turns, you can see all these crazy gains from Murad's top picks. However, the one at the top here is Murad's top pick. He says, if you want to be part of the next Doge, the next SHIB, the next GME, or in fact something much bigger than all 3 of those, buy SPX 6900. If you don't know how to buy the SPX 6900 and you're looking, you can literally buy that on the Archie wallet, which is our Solana bot wallet. I'll leave the link to it in the description below, and you can buy it with literally 2 clicks. We're trying to take all the complexity out of trading any of these tokens on the Solana blockchain for you. Murad says SPX 6900 will be the biggest altcoin in crypto history. That is a massive call. That's literally hundreds of billions of dollars in market cap. However, the one thing I will add to this is Murad is one of the influencers that think that this might be still not the big pump that we're all waiting for. In fact, he believes we might trend sideways, maybe slightly up from here into September. And that's when we're going to get the exponential mainstream normies where literally your uncle and your dad and your grandma and your cousin are all hitting you up being like, how do I buy Giga? How do I buy SPX? He thinks that's going to happen early 2026/late 2025 where we hit those 100x returns. However, CryptoGodJohn, who leads the most 100x gains for all the people that we track inside our inner circle. He's had some absolute bangers. He thinks that right now is the time. He says, lock in now or clock in forever, meaning work your 9 to 5 forever or literally make millions in crypto and never have to do that again. He tweeted yesterday, you could be anywhere in the world right now, but you are lucky enough to be in the crypto trenches. Time to print. Don't take this opportunity for granted. And one of his biggest convictions, funny enough, is Ethereum. Tupai says, I don't think anyone is ready for what's to come. ETH will be the most hated rally. This is the redemption arc. You can see the magnet up here. I believe that's at about $6,000 or maybe $8,000 where it's trying to pull it up to. And CryptoGodJohn agreed. He says, honestly, yeah. And down the crypto whip, so the more volatile tokens or the more higher leverage tokens on Ethereum. Because if Ethereum does a 6x, you can only imagine what the biggest tokens on Ethereum are going to do. They're probably going to 50x to 100x. CryptoGodJohn's old biggest play used to be OXO, and he still holds these tokens. He still hasn't sold any. However, he's getting frustrated with the token. They can see after 2 years and no real product launch, John says, okay, let's leave the same marketing team in place when there's absolutely zero marketing. What a shame. This project could be easy multi-billions. I've never seen such a fumble by a team. Crypto Abhash says, stop fudding, rather help them out. Come to Telegram where they're super active. John says, this is not FUD, this is reality. I've invested several $100,000, which is true, we're tracking his wallets as well, into this project because I believed in it. And to see the disaster they created because they don't listen to the community is disgusting. Do or die moment for big changes or it's over. He's saying they're at a fork in the road, a real turning point. And his frustration is they have multiple millions of dollars of tokens in a marketing wallet and they're not using it. They're not onboarding new influencers, guys. It's, again, the core of this video. Everything is social arbitrage and everything is narrative based because influencers pump tokens. Even on my small channel here, I've seen a video pump tokens literally $20 to $50 million in market cap. So you can imagine what the big boys are being able to do by promoting tokens. So where is John moving to? And interestingly enough, One of his favorite plays is Pinlink, which has just been absolutely horizontal for a while. He got in early. I'll show you some info down there, which is at about 60 mil market cap right now and hasn't moved strongly, but it's still not something that he's out there promoting non-stop. In fact, he almost feels like he's hitting that refresh with a blank canvas. He says, I haven't looked at any new launches in a few months because I felt like market conditions weren't right to be pushing new coins. This is what we've been talking about. Now market conditions changed in 24 hours. It's time to get back into the kitchen. I'm in chef mode right now, in the trenches looking for the next $1 billion runner. This is the play right here. We all want a $1 billion runner. We want to find it at 10 mil and sell it at $1 billion and buy our Ferraris and our first class flights to Dubai and really just live life on our own terms. And you can see this is actually Pinlink. This is the graph I was showing you because these influencers, they are early to these tokens. This is CryptoZach, which you can follow him on Twitter. He's actually a beast. And he's actually been helping me out behind the scenes a lot as well. He's a really awesome guy, introducing me to new people and new projects. So shout out to Zach because he doesn't owe me anything and he's been extremely helpful. But he called Pinlink way down here. And then you have people like Alex Becker and ourselves tracking it inside our whale tracker. People like Miles Deutsche, people like CryptoGodJohn who are finding these tokens before they do that 5x at scale. Why are we here? Well, the only reason we can get into these deals is because we track. We've got new software. We've been building in these 3 months. We haven't been quiet. We haven't been pushing anything because like CryptoGodJohn, there's been nothing to push. Everything's been downwards. But we have been working hard and we have a brand new whale tracker launching extremely soon, which has some crazy awesome features, which is going to be way quicker, way more personalized, and I'll keep the rest a secret for now. But the inner circle is getting a massive upgrade for the back half of 2025 where we're all going to be printing. But the core of it is the same, where we're following and tracking the biggest whales and the top influencers. We track their wallets, we see what they hold in their portfolios, so we can get the exact same results that they get. And once again, we track their portfolios here. Because what we're in the game of is helping you trade and helping me, myself, trade like the biggest influencers and best traders in the world. But when they're losing money, you know, these influencers are down 50% over the last 3 months, no one really wants it. However, now that it's turning, it turned late last year, and it was absolutely insane results. I'll show you those. And it's turning again now over the next couple of months, I'm guessing. And now's the time to get in because we also have these social alerts like you saw Alex Becker tweet about Talbot and literally go up 6x, even in just 1 day of good sentiment. Now the whale tracker will send you all these alerts like it did in December when Alex Becker bought Cheyenne and it 13x'd in 2 days. Once again, we tracked Alex Becker getting a influencer deal with Pinlink and it went on, that was right here, it went on to 12x in 2 weeks. And these are not the only influencers we track. We have a lot new influencers going in, and I'll give you a hint at what we're building, but it's basically a decentralized version of this wallet. Now, also in there is we are tracking Alex Becker's memecoin hunt because he's launching his own memecoin, which he thinks will get to the $100 million level when he launches it. And if you get an allocation, he thinks it's going to be worth north of 10 grand. He says he's going to be launching that when the market returned, and the market is returning. The last Alex Becker bit of information we've got here, he says, after my meme drops, shortly after, I'm dropping something 100 times weirder, like bizarre, pure 5'2" neckbeard degeneracy. The first people there and to figure it out should have a pretty decent day. Should probably like it for cool points because cool people go first. And he's got this photo of Miko, which is looking like a virtual streamer, similar to some of the AI agents that have been built up. So if Alex Becker is also launching an AI agent, we're going to be on top of that. We're going to be tracking every movement of all the top influencers extremely hard. So we'd love to have you on our team. Click the link in the description below to join our inner circle, join our community, and really get upstream for all the narratives for the back half of this year, which fingers crossed is going to be that exponential golden banana zone. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.